Yo, what's good, Seek? What's everybody out there,
What's good, bro?
man? And Black with No Chaser Land, man. Thank y'all so much for tuning into the Black Lunch Break episode 9, man. Shout out to Sika, y'all. She just moved over to Atlanta. How you doing out there, sis?
I'm feeling lovely, feeling great. Happy to be back since we haven't been here since what? Last Tuesday? So it's been a minute. I'm happy to be back though.
Yeah. Look, we got a lot of moving pieces around, man. People are moving all over, and so we look. I'm glad y'all sticking with us. Today we got a really special guest from the Biden campaign, Alencia Johnson, senior advisor to the Biden campaign, will be jumping on with us right around middle of the hour, around 1:30, right here on the Black Lunch Break, episode 9. But before we get there, we got some housekeeping. Y'all already know we got to remind you about some few things. Election day is 19 days away, y'all. Election day is 19 days. It really
Woo,
cannot be
19.
overstated. It really can't be overstated that the really what's going on right now in this country about how important this election season is. Seek, I don't know if you've been following some of the Supreme Court hearings and whatnot. But that's been interesting. And the cool part about today is you being a black woman. We got Alencia Johnson coming on. She's a black woman. And we'll get to hear not only your take, but her take on what is the Biden campaign's true plan for black women in America. How are we going to make sure equitable pay for all black women, protecting black women? What does that agenda look like? Healthcare for black women, black America in general. And right before you, y'all, and it's so important, the Supreme Court hearings right now are so important because all of this is on the table
Very
and
important.
more, right? And so getting to the ballot, register. Look, you can still register. Register. Some states are still allowing registration
Get
all
that
the way
shit
through to
handled.
election day. Get it handled, yo. I know Mississippi, and you ain't in Mississippi no more, but Georgia be doing some fugazi shit too.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I've heard some stories already because they started the early voting, I believe, this week. There have been a couple of people that I know that have had a smooth selling process, but there's been a couple of people also that have ran into a couple of roadblocks. So I think it's hella important to go on and do that early voting just in case you do run into those roadblocks so you can have enough time to muster up whatever you need to figure out to make sure that your vote still gets counted because they out there. And like Tamika Mallory said, your vote, listen, if they weren't trying to defeat your vote, then it wouldn't matter. So obviously your vote does matter. So make sure that you are doing everything you possibly can to get out there. However, make it, like Willa said, make it a family day, make it an event, because we need this. This is the most important election of our lives, our
big
lifetime, I
facts.
think.
And yesterday, I don't know if folks have seen this, but Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey recently came out. He was questioning and kind of going over the record of Amy Barrett, who is the Republicans or President Trump's Supreme Court nominee, as before the actual Senate right now, right? So these hearings are going on right now as we speak. If you haven't seen any of them, I'm telling you right now, please take a look at it. Look, look. This woman here, right? And one thing that was pointed out by Senator Booker was this. She actually believes, and this is very important, she believes in virtue, a type of mandate where what that means is, and this is some things, and also Cory Booker pointed this out as well, and what that means is that basically on a merit-based and virtue-based type of manner, right? States, counties, districts, parishes in Louisiana, all these states, right? Southern states and states outside the southern area. Can she believes that virtue like type of voting process where you can say, hey, if you don't know the Declaration of Independence, or if you don't know the actual five core tenets of the First Amendment, things like that, then that can actually kick you out of the process of being able to access the ballot, right? And the crazy part about this is, while she allows and believes in that, her herself couldn't even name the five core tenets in the First Amendment. So
Ain't
here
that
we
something?
are. You got a Supreme Court justice nominee out of Wisconsin, out of the Sixth Circuit, I believe, Sixth or Seventh Circuit. I believe it's the Seventh Circuit, which is on the federal appellate, court system. And this woman here, not only did she say that using the N word doesn't create a hostile environment, or she doesn't believe that to create a hostile work environment by being people using the N word in the office space, right? So that don't matter if it's from a black person to a black person, or for damn sure it better not be from a goddamn white person to a black person. But she believes that does not create a hostile work environment. There's been senators that have came out talking about the fact that abortion isn't in the Constitution, but yet guess what? The word women is not in the Constitution, but yet here we are fighting
Here
for
we
women's
are.
rights still, right? So
Here
the
we
all
are.
make sure y'all actually look at it. All this code language, man. People try to use any and everything to make sure that you don't vote, right? That you don't believe in the actual system, but the system does work. But you got to make it work for you, folks, and that's all, man. Like, cause it's just so much on the table. But
It
y'all
is. It's
call
a
your
lot. Things like wordplay and all of those things, it's just, it lets you realize how much of a mind fuck the whole election thing is. And you have to pay attention. You actually really have to be out there looking for the mind fucks instead of the mind fucks looking for you, because they're out there in so many different ways trying to, like, I think that's bullshit for her to be saying like the N word is not, what are you talking about? Like, I don't even feel like, you know, certain people are not qualified to make certain statements of that statute. You feel what I'm saying? Like, how can you say certain things when you really cannot relate? We have a very interesting comment that's up in the
who we got?
questions. Hold on, let me see.
I'm telling y'all, what do y'all say, folk who don't want to vote for Biden or that orange fella? I mean, that's look. I'll be real with you. Like, that's an interesting question. I
That
don't see if you want
is
to
very
weigh in
interesting.
real, because like you
I
got.
will
Go
weigh in
ahead,
on that. The reason why I'm
go
going to
ahead.
weigh in on that is because plenty of people that's been following me since social media, since the beginning. Let's say 2006 or so. Plenty of people that's been following me, they know that I have been a person that's like, fuck voting. I'm not for that shit because I don't feel like they are for us. The shit is rigged. Da 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 da. Listen, here we are in 2020, and I'm like, y'all need to get your asses out there and make sure that you're doing some shit. And what I have to say to people that don't want to vote for Biden or don't want to vote for 45, I feel like, in a sense, it doesn't hurt. It does not hurt for you to go out there and make sure that 45 does not get reelected. Although you may not understand or agree with the way that the government is working, with the way that the presidential campaign and the president that we are under right now has been able to do things. I don't agree with none of that shit. But although I've never been for voting, right now, today in 2020, I'm for voting for Biden because of the fact that I don't want to be under this type of dictatorship, because that's the way that things are maneuvering. And if we make things so simple for Trump to move back into this same position to continue this bullshit for another 4 years, who is to say that we will not be in a dictatorship type of nation? I'm not trying to speak anything into existence when I say that, but listen, even if you don't vote, be for real. That shit does not hurt you to still go out there and make sure that 45 does not get up in there. And then we have to talk about your local elections. And when it comes down to that, you have to make sure that you're getting out there so you can make sure that your community and everything is straight. And although it may be ignorance, a tad bit of ignorance to not want to vote for either candidate right now you have to be voting for us all. Like, fuck your personal feelings right now. It's about us all and getting us out of this, getting us out of this hellhole that we are in. And the only way that we could do that is to get 45 out. So I know that you may not be the biggest fan of Biden, but you need to do what's right when it comes down to your people. And we need 45 out. That's what I got to say about that.
Yeah, yo, I think it's an interesting question. I understand people like saying I don't like this person or like that person, but like your why shouldn't be in a person, right? Your why shouldn't be because I don't like you, I don't like that person. Because when you do that, you're always gonna fall. Like, you know how people say like the difference between joy and happiness? Happiness is actually manipulated by things happening around you, where joy is internal, right? You can't take away my inner joy. But happiness can be manipulated, right? Because sometimes I can see something outside or something that's happened to me that can affect my happiness, right? But understand though is that when in terms of politics, man, focus on the issues, man. We're talking about criminal justice issues. We're talking about healthcare issues right now, as we speak. As soon the reason why they trying to jam this actual Supreme Court Justice nominee Amy Barrett down our throats right now, and it's because what's happening on the other side of the election is healthcare. Healthcare right now is being fought and will be heard by the Supreme Court and decided upon I think it will be like November 15th or somewhere like maybe a week and a half after the election happens, right? That's huge. That's black folks, white folks, Republicans, Democrats, pescatarian, libertarians. I don't give a damn what you look like. There are 100 million plus Americans right now living in this country that have pre-existing conditions. Should the Affordable Care Act, i.e. Obamacare, be gutted and deemed unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, that right there will literally set the stage across the board for insurance companies to kick millions of people off their health care, including black folks, including likely you, ma'am, sir, whoever it is that was that asked that question. So at the end of the day, right, we can't be too bogged down into candidates. Make sure those candidates have a pathway to make sure that you have access to the ballot. You have your full rights as a citizen, as an American in this country. So therefore, in elections to come, right, then you can dictate what's happening in your communities, dog. Because at the end of the day, you can't be out here, because what you're doing is, when you say that, you're probably telling your homeboy, your homegirl, you shouldn't vote either. And guess what? In Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, those elections were decided by 50,000 votes or less. Do you understand? Do you understand the actual margin? The margin
Perfect
of
description. Perfect
So
description.
we can't afford to stay home. We can't afford. Look, I don't care if you say I don't like Biden at all. I tell you what, though. I tell you what. Comb through Trump's records. Comb through all the folks in the Senate right now. Look at Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. Look at what Cindy Highsmith is doing down in Mississippi. Look at Susan Collins over in Maine. Look at Cory Gardner and Colorado. Look at Murkowski over in Alaska. Look at Max Sally down in Arizona. All these Republicans right now are up for grabs. These seats are up for grabs. We flip it, right? We flip it. Block this actual Supreme Court nominee right now, and then and Amy Barrett. We already stated this woman literally said she's gonna be, if she's actually rushed through this, and we don't make our voices heard, then it's gonna be another woman, another white woman, sitting on the Supreme Court system for a lifetime, making decisions that not will only impact our lives, not only the next generation's lives, but generations to come. And that means that, guess what, across the board, we could roll back women's rights to protect their own bodies, right to choose. We're talking about right to health care. We're talking about a right to actually fully funded education. We're talking about a right to really, honestly, systematic things that make sure black folks in particular don't fall in the
Oh,
gaps, right? So look, y'all, I can give a
listen,
myriad of reasons
there
right
is
now, but that's
a.
what we're talking about.
I'm not even sure if I should put this comment up on the screen, but there is a
No, put it up
hella
there.
interesting comment that just came through. All right, here we
Put it
go.
up
Here
there.
we go. Here we go.
So the question says, so they want the pedo racists for president. These black Americans are sell off for the black Americans, discussing for all Americans general. Better off listening to well-educated representative of black Americans, B. Tatum, Candace Owens. It's just straight up ignorance. I mean, like, look, man, if you think that,
Eliza Rex Resurrection.
I, I mean, I don't really know how to answer that, because, like, look, I could tell y'all right
First
now.
of all, it wasn't a question, it was an opinion. And this person is very well, you're entitled to your opinion. But for one, listen, everything that we are saying here on Black with No Chaser has nothing to do with selling out, and everything is for the betterment of our community. Maybe you don't understand the points of views that we are presenting to you, and unfortunately, that's unfortunate for you. And I'm glad that you're here to attend this conversation. But as far as comparing us to people of Candace Owens' nature, you are so incorrect on so many levels. But that's okay, though.
Is
We're
that
going
what
to
that
pray
is
for
that
you.
is that what that
Yes.
comment was saying? They were trying to
Yeah,
compare.
they're comparing us. They're saying that we are basically like Candace Owens and that we are selling out.
I mean, look, if you call selling out making sure that every American have access to healthcare and a quality education system and a Supreme Court system that's going to be just and equitable for all people, right? That's going to make sure that women have the right to choose. If that's like some racist pedo, whatever you call it, sellout, or the Candace Owens, or I don't know. I don't know what the hell you're really saying. But if
Me
that's what that
either.
is, then that's wild, because
If
like
that made you feel better, great for you. We're gonna keep it
that's wild.
moving though.
Yeah, man. But man, look, Ice Cube, right? Ice Cube, man. Hopefully, when Alencia comes on, we can get into this a bit more. But Ice Cube, yo, has really caught the airways recently. with the CWBA, which is a contract with Black America. It's a 13-page document that has been put together. There's been some things that have been said, maybe some misrepresentation about what Ice Cube agenda was versus what it wasn't. I'm not here to advocate for Ice Cube, but more so have a conversation about actually what's going on with this CWBA or the contract with Black America, and really ask everybody out there right now is, if there was a contract with Black America right now, if there was a contract with Black America, what would that contract, what would some of those clauses or provisions look like in that contract? I can tell you right now, as I pull up this 13-page document right here on some of the things, and y'all stand by. And look, I'm gonna drop this in the chat because I feel like I want folks to follow along with this. I'm dropping that in right now so you can see. But a contract, it's representation. Here goes the 13 core tenets of it, right? Representation, lending reform, federal funding, the Fed Reserve, finance oversight, data and credit, prison reform, judicial reform, police reform act, FCC licensing, Confederate institutions, AGP program, Black responsibility. That's an interesting one. Black responsibility. I'm actually going to click on that one because I really want to see. And that what it says is that at the top, it says that this is a two-way street. So that's saying that since it's a contract, a quid pro quo, that means that the role of the Black community, which is dealing with extreme generational poverty, right? They look at it as we gain social economic equality, we must begin to dissolve any bitterness in our hearts for past wrongs. So we must dissolve any of the bitter. You know what's crazy about that? See,
oh man,
do we? So question: do we ask? Right? Do white folks ask? Do racist ass white folks ask? Right? These administration ask that Jewish folk, who went through Holocaust, right? Millions of Jewish folks have died horrifically, right? During that time period. Nobody's asking to dissolve any bitterness. They're not asking for that. They're not asking them to forget. And the one thing I hate about this entire contract is the Black responsibility component of it. It's like you telling folks to forget about everything, whisk it away, right? Allow us to stand by the roadside and say, you know what, though, it's okay that those, we really, by saying that, we're saying that it was okay that those things happen. And we should not only turn a cheek, but turn a cheek again and again and again and again, no matter what's happened to us over the course of history, while still never being formally apologized to by this country, not just as a statement, but also in the form of reparations.
See, after you broke down that last one, you kind of fucked me up with that one. Before I even made any judgment on how I was feeling about this meeting that he had, I was like, let me make sure, what they met about. Because at the end of the day, you know how the political game goes. If you have a plan, you are going to present it to the Democratic Party and you are going to present it to the Republican Party if both of them are willing to listen. And obviously, that's just the business ethic of things. And I can't be upset about that. I'm not going to be upset about a political move as far as you trying to make a plan that you seem like you have for our community. But I'm going to have to press pause on that when you come down to us wanting to dissolve that. No, sir, Bob. No, sir. No, we cannot do that. We cannot do that. If anything, the only thing that we need to be receiving is shitloads of apologies, something of the nature of what you said, Rillo, a couple of episodes ago about opportunities. Like, we don't only need opportunities for right now. We need opportunities on top of opportunities on top of opportunities for our past generations that are going to be coming behind us. But as far as this, like, dissolving this shit, no. He needs to be speaking for himself on that, because he does not speak for the majority of us. No way. Like, that's... Oh man, I
think there's a point to be made, Seek, about what happened with so people were saying that, hey man, Trump came out, he responded to it, he responded to Ice Cube, and the Biden campaign was like, look, we're not saying that we don't want to respond to it, but obviously it's a lot to comb through. And we know that at this point, there's too much at stake to weigh in on something that you already have a plan for Black America on your agenda, right? So you already have it on your platform. So engaging in another conversation is actually subverting in a particular way what you plan to do for Black America, right? This contract with Black America. And so to me, right, when I see this, I see it as just a political, like one of the political gestures. And say, oh, well, Donald Trump responded. But look at this though, man. Anything that's worth having is worth waiting for to some degree, right? If you know anything about contract negotiations and how they go, a deal worth living with in perpetuity or for a certain period of time is worth combing over, figuring out. We are 19 days away from election day. 19 days. So not only trying to ram a Supreme Court justice nominee named Amy Barrett down our throats, right? They're also trying to jam an actual contract to make the Biden campaign sign on to it. And quite frankly, though, if I was the Biden campaign, I would say the same thing. I'm like, look, we got 19 days away. There's a 13-point agenda that we have to actually attend to. And so the problem is, if they go, oh, we're only going to actually talk about one thing, then it makes it look like they're excluding everything else. And so to make sure that they're able to sit there, because one thing Democrats do a better job than Republicans, at least right now in more recent history, is allow themselves time to gather the facts, right? Sift through everything that's out there right now and actually put forth the best plan, not only for Black America, but for all Americans, right? Case in point, when we're talking about the actual coronavirus package, when the Democrats want to do a second wave of it, they want a $3 trillion package. You know where that majority of that money went to? Bailing out corporations. And a lot of those folks had to walk it back and give some of that money back, right? We're talking about Shake Shacks of the world, those places that got 10 to 15, $20 million and didn't even need it. Small businesses, Black businesses, right? Right now, Wells Fargo, 100 employees just got fired for taking money. Wells Fargo, now they've been bailed out by the Obama campaign administration. They've been bailed out by Trump. They've been bailed out multiple times, yo. And the crazy part about these banks is there's no bailout for small Black business owners. There's no bailout for actually for Black homeowners. There's no bailouts, right? But yet continuously we look for ways in which to bail out obviously white-owned led corporations like Chase, the Chases of the world, the Wells Fargo, the Bank of America's, the Shake Shack, every time, right? And so I'm not interested in what that looks like for them. I'm interested in finding soluble solutions that can sustain the test of time, right? As opposed to rushing into a deal where I know for a fact may not be good, because this is how they get you. They get Black folks in the fucking snafu, right? They make it seem like you gotta act now. And then you get a deal you really can't live with, right? This goes back to those them second primary mortgages that Black folks got where they got hurt in '08. Those, you know what I'm saying? Those subprime mortgages where they were literally there. There was almost no way out. And so what you're doing is similar to that. And I would rather somebody tell me, hey, look, we're not saying no. What we're saying is let it marinate a bit. Let it marinate a bit. And for all my cooks out there who be grilling and stuff like that, if y'all are like me, I like letting my shit marinate a little bit and actually enjoying the process, what it looks like. So on the back end, I know it's not only is it good on the outside, it's even juicy on the inside, right? And we want that inside to be right, not just what it looks like on the outside. Feel me?
I totally feel you, bro. Because that marinate game is something serious, and we got to make sure. You got to make sure that any type of contracting that you are doing, that repetition of reading that shit over and over again, making sure you're not missing anything, because that's how things are. The wording is specific, but it's to be tricky as well, and it just takes time to go through these things. So I find it interesting that Biden campaign may be looking at it like, yo, we are 19 days out of it. Not saying that what you're bringing to the table isn't of importance, but what is up ahead in these next 19 days is way more important than taking out the time to go through these 13 page documents. That doesn't mean that they don't have any intentions of going through it. And I also think that there's something to pay attention to with the campaign being so big and Trump administration being willing to go through that document. Are they really going to go through that? Let's be real. Or are they just trying to just gather some more support?
That's it.
They can.
They trying to scrape off votes.
Like Cube should be looking at it in that way. Like, come on now. Obviously, this is going to take time to go through. And if someone wants to fast track it the microwavable way, then there really is no good intent behind that. And that's not good for us at all.
Man, look, and that's what I'm saying though, man. Like, I'm not saying that, like, look, we shouldn't be entertaining it or we shouldn't be looking at it. I think that, look, if I was a candidate, I'm just saying, and I got a plan, I'm not going to insert another person's plan whose administration I'm running against into my plan. Now, if something about that plan will work when I beat your ass, right? When I win the election, then perhaps, right? Or we can come back to the table and discuss an actual total better package. And that's the thing though, when somebody denies you, it doesn't necessarily mean or denies your idea, it doesn't mean that they're denying you. What it means that perhaps there could be a better idea, a better solution that can be put on the table that's better than what's existing right now. And so I think people are looking at this in a very absolute kind of manner, where if I say no, if I turn down an idea, or if a candidate turns down an idea, then that means that it's no for everything else. And that's not the case, right? So don't be fooled with the political propaganda and what's happening right now. The Trump administration and their campaign is trying to do whatever they can to scrape all black folk, because what they know is without the black vote, there is no winning this election. And that's on both sides, Democrats and Republicans. They all know without the black vote, this cherished black vote. And that's why this contract with Black America that Ice Cube brings up is so interesting. I'm not sure if I agree with everything that's being said in there, but there is some teeth to it. There's some good pieces that can be used, right, and normalized and put on the agenda. But look, yeah, TY just said it, man. Once again, black folk being used as pawns. But we got to be savvy and going, look, we not just looking for any deal. We looking for a deal that allows us to build strategically over time. We understand that nobody gets everything they want in one fell swoop. That's not how federal politics works. And that goes back to what Sika was saying in the very beginning, which is getting involved in local elections, right? Make sure you know who's actually getting elected to your city councils, to your sheriff office. Right now in Florida, I believe there's almost like 96 sheriff, I think 96 or so many, some all the sheriff seats in Florida right now up for grabs. All of them. All of them.
That shit is crazy. That is crazy.
All of them at one time.
How did that happen?
That's just the way it's set up, right? Like literally during this year, all of the actual sheriff seats in every county is it's up for grabs. And so if you're not a black person, you're looking at like, well, damn man, like I want transformation to happen in my city. Well, you can start with your sheriff. Find a sheriff that actually gives a damn about black folk. You ain't got to worry about a Trump or a Biden, right? Usually politics is super local for most people, right? And so at the end of the day, because if you're in Mississippi, for example, right, they refused to actually take on and use the Affordable Care Act in Mississippi. So if you somebody without health care right now, it's because of your goofy ass Governor Phil Bryant and Tate Reeves right now and Cindy Highsmiths, right? Or looking and saying, you know what though, y'all would be good without health care. We're gonna just kind of do our own thing. And so I'm just saying, man, look, y'all can say whatever y'all want, but it's gonna be really, really bad, really, really bad if not only Trump is reelected, but Amy Barrett is actually confirmed or appointed to the Supreme Court, y'all. This is really huge, man. And a lot of things can be rolled back, like I said, not just for this generation, but for generations to come, which I feel like is more important than any election. In my particular point of view. But that's just it. In 2 minutes, y'all, we got Alencia Johnson, senior advisor to the Biden campaign, coming on. Yo, honestly, this is gonna be a dope interview. Y'all should be locked in. We're gonna be talking about all issues, things dealing with black women, coming from a black woman, talking co-host with a black woman. And so and it's right here on the Black Lunch Break, y'all. So if y'all just tuning in, I'm your boy Cirillo. This is Secret to my left, or I'm sure my left, your right, whatever that looks like on your screen. But yeah, we're so glad to be here with y'all today. So look, in less than 2 minutes. So look, sharing this right now. Make sure you comment. Get your questions ready. If you got questions for look, we got real senior level Biden campaign folk coming on this show.
Dope.
So if you got questions, ask the questions. I mean, like you talking about, these people are she's a senior advisor to the president. I mean, to the vice president, which means that guess what? She can go, hey, this is what folks the Black Lunch Break said. And this is what the question they were asking. And these are the issues today for black women in Black America right now. It can be informative. So don't think that your question today is going heard or going unnoticed, right? Shout out to Naomi, man. Thank you so much for chiming in, sis. Appreciate you for real. Me and Naomi used to work together at the Hub Project. She was actually my intern. She's lit though, for real. She's dope. But
Thank
look,
you for
y'all.
tuning in, Naomi. We appreciate it.
Hell yeah. But once again, if y'all haven't shared this already, make sure you share it, man. Make sure you share this across all your platforms. look, we only as good as the information we actually receive sometimes. There's so much disinformation and misinformation being spread all out here. I see people in the comments on Facebook. I be seeing people on comments, yo, sis. I be like, where are you getting your information from?
How do you get the balls to be so loud and wrong?
I be over here looking like, how we got here? How did we get here? How we? I be seeing black men going, yeah, bro, I kind of agree with Trump on certain things. I mean, what is it as a black person? You go, yeah, man, I agree with that.
I think a lot of people also like to be combative. And I think that we as a community need to understand that sometimes being different and being combative can be very harmful to us as a whole. And I do see a lot of sideways comments from a lot of black men, and I'm like, yo, there's no way you could really feel like this. Like, I feel like some people are putting on for social media, but if we were to sit down in real life and we are feeling those emotions and feeling these conversations in person, I do feel like a lot of these fingers that are tapping, I believe that the words coming out of their mouth would be a lot different. Because there's just no way. I refuse to believe that some of these people really are feeling the way that they're writing on social media.
Now, I just feel like, I don't know. I really don't know. And it'd be confusing to me because I just be sitting there thinking like, is it like
Alencia has made it in. You ready?
Oh yeah. Alencia about to chime in, y'all. She's chiming in right now.
Welcome, Queen.
Hi, glad to be here.
How are you?
I'm hanging in there. It's 19 days until the election.
Look, and I feel like it's tomorrow. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I feel like so much has been going on, and every single day, I feel like there's so much misinformation. I was just talking about this misinformation and disinformation being spread out there, trying to scrape away the black votes or any votes, right, that the Trump administration can kind of muster up at this point. It's really a desperation match, right? Like trying to find any way and every way to really like sabotage this election, whether it's from voter suppression tactics that we're seeing right now, and really in Wisconsin, another state that was won by less than 10,000 votes, right? And so but today we're here with Alencia Johnson, y'all. She is the senior advisor for the Biden campaign. Look, we're not gonna go through an entire resume because we don't have it. We'll be sitting here for 30 minutes going through it. Just know the sister is lit. It's lit. It's lit. From Planned Parenthood being the architect of many campaigns for Black women. We're talking about Ebony's finest at top 40 on the 40 titles. Look, we can go into all that stuff, but I think it's more important to get into why it's so important for for Black women to be in tune, Black voters to be tuned in. And so that's really the heart of matter today. That's what we're speaking to today. And so anyway, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here, for real.
Thank you for having me. Absolutely. Glad to be here.
And I gotta ask.
Go ahead, bro. Ask.
I gotta ask. What college you went to?
I went to Christopher Newport University, a small liberal arts school. So I went to PRWeek, but I'm DST all day. So
well, hello.
That's your story. That's your story.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised there's a soror on the Biden campaign?
I'm totally not surprised. Like, this is what we do, okay?
It's a lot of us too, actually.
We're walking in our purpose. So I'm pretty sure that you know Wakenya Clanton.
That's my boo. I love Wakenya Clanton.
That is my big sister. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
It's a small world.
And little fun fact too, a couple of the other senior advisors on the Biden campaign are Deltas as well. Because we just social action, we run this.
Listen.
I ain't gonna lie. Deltas, you know what I'm saying? You know, it's funny, man, because like it's so funny. I'm glad this is actually happening. Because Senator Harris is an AKA, but I love the unity. The Zetas just came out recently, did a big fundraising campaign down in Mississippi for Senator Harris. So that was awesome to kind of see. But yeah, I really want to get into real quick though, right? Mm-hmm. And actually, I got one more question. Okay. And that is when you hear the words Black with No Chaser, right? When you think about this platform we're on today, What are some things or thoughts that come to mind?
Unapologetic, right? Like, we don't need the chaser. Like, some people, they can't, take their liquor without a chaser. We can straight shoot, right? And we are unapologetic about it. And that's the beautiful thing. So I love Black with no chaser. I might need to get a shirt that says that.
We got you. Say less.
We got you. Say no more, for real. And that's exactly what we are. We are unapologetic because it was very important for us, our CEO CJ, to create a safe space for us. There's so many of us that have so many different opinions and different ways of life that we needed a space to be respected and to be understood on whatever level that we are. Sometimes we say all the time, meet me at the middle, but sometimes some people need to be met where they are. And that's what Black with No Chaser is actually representing. And we are so thankful that your campaign has allowed these important conversations to happen on here, because there's a lot of people in our community that just don't get that type of access to these type of conversations. Some people don't want to log on to the news. Some people don't want to read, and some people just don't want to be tapped in. But when it comes down to Black with No Chaser, they don't mind being tapped in and getting informed in certain ways. So this is huge that you are here with us to have these type of discussions.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, look, Seek, I'll let you jump in. But first question is, and I think it's very important, is as a Black woman, right? You're a part of this campaign, and you obviously speak to a lot of issues that Black women are facing with. But as a Black woman, though, right? I mean, what can you say about the Biden campaign and why you feel personally that you jumped on, and why you felt like it was important for you to have a say in this particular election?
Absolutely. I mean, I know we say it all the time that this is the election of our lifetime, and it really is. And a little bit about me, I was inspired to get into politics when President Obama ran his first election, his first campaign. That was my senior year in college. And I scrapped kind of my other plans that I wanted to do and really wanted to dive in. I've always been committed to change and civil rights, but I just felt something about politics, right? And at this point in my career, to be honest, I didn't think I was going to work on a presidential campaign anymore. There's so many organizations who were building the political power of young people, of Black folks, of women, particularly women of color. But what is happening in that White House right now is something not only have we never seen, I don't think we've seen in history books that we can recall, right? Some of our parents can recall, right? Like, that we've had some interesting presidents that we are still living with the remnants of their policies decades and centuries later. But the destruction in the White House right now is why I said I can't sit on the sideline. And when my friends who are at the Biden campaign right now said, hey, can you come help out? You enjoy engaging Black communities. I do a lot of work in our Black communication space with some of our surrogates. Can you come and help out? And we've got to win this, and we've only got a few weeks left, right? And so I said, of course, yes. And as a Black woman, I feel such a responsibility to ensuring that not only I am an informed voter, but the people around me. Black women are the most loyal part of the Democratic Party. And not only because we show up in record numbers, it's because that we organize everyone. So we get the Black men, we get our community, we get some of our white sisters together, we get everybody together. And so it's really important for me to come to the campaign and be able to have that conversation. Another piece of this too is I think about all of the intersections that I live at as a Black woman who was raised in the South. I'm a person of faith, and what this administration is doing to women, what this administration is doing to Black folks. And then at the center of that is a Black woman, and I'm getting on both sides. And so the only way to change that is to change who was in the White House and leadership there. And I firmly believe Joe Biden will be an exceptionally better president.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there, because what you just said was a heavy load, and that's a heavy responsibility. And I'm a person that I'm a very spiritual person, so I'm really about the inwardness. How are you protecting yourself and staying focused, because that's a lot to deal with on both ends as a Black woman? How are you dealing with that?
Yeah, you know, I have a good devotional practice. It could be better. I always say it can always be better, right?
Right.
Shirley Chisholm is sitting here over my shoulder every single day that I'm working and giving me inspiration. But what also gives me inspiration is my mother, who has gone through some health challenges. And if it wasn't for the policies under the Affordable Care Act, from early detection or certain things being covered in her insurance, to the advocacy of groups that are being threatened, like a Planned Parenthood, she wouldn't be able to be taking care of herself and detecting things so early. If it wasn't for my younger cousin, who literally on her 18th birthday the other day voted early in Virginia, and if it wasn't for her, and she is going to Hampton University, she's going to play at DSC if I have anything to do with it.
Let's go.
But, you know, she asks me questions all the time of like, why is the world like this? So she's grown up watching me work in politics, watching me work on these issues. And I think about her, what's her student debt going to be like? Is she going to have job opportunities? Is she going to be safe in her car driving at night to see her friends? Because, you know, whether or not police have accountability, right? I think about all of those things. Will she be able to stay on her parents' insurance until she's 25 because of the Affordable Care Act, right? It's those things that a lot of people don't think about until they need them. And to have those real examples, and I challenge your viewers to also think about who in my life is benefiting and is not benefiting from what's happening. And that is what grounds me every single day. I try to pause when I can, but at this point, right, like I'm working 20 hours a day, right? I fall asleep with my laptop in my bed at night. But, you know, it's a reminder of the progress that was made under an Obama-Biden administration, the progress that Vice President Joe Biden wants to continue to push forward. And then with Senator Kamala Harris, which, I mean, like, all hail the queen. But the fact that they govern, they already show leadership on the coronavirus pandemic, but they also say, get me in office and hold me accountable. They want to work with people to advance our issues. And so that's what keeps me grounded, my spiritual practice, and making sure that I remember the people in my life that this significantly impacts every single day.
Yep. I think it's important. I think the last piece you touched on, you touched on a lot. The willingness and wanting to be checked and actually be held accountable. We saw from this president we in office right now, with Donald Trump and his administration, that every person that had tried to push back, right, and to make sure that they got the facts correct, and that's even folks within his own administration, from the DOJ to the HHS to DOD. I mean, you name it, right? Any single person or institution that has gone against and try to check the president, right? And his administration, his policies have all either been fired or pushed to the wayside, right? And now you're seeing people that have been a part of administration, whether it be lawyers like what's his name, Michael Comey. What's his name? Is it Comey? Is it him?
Michael Cohen, yes.
Michael Cohen, right? He's come out and said, "Look, I'm trying to tell y'all the truth. This dude is no way, any shape, form, a good guy. He's not a good human being. He doesn't care about anybody but himself." And we've seen that time and time again in these last ditch efforts. Case in point, what Ice Cube is doing, right, between Democrats and Republicans right now, which is a weird thing to do right now, right? This contract with Black America, when Joe Biden and Joe Biden's campaign has already set forth an entire Black America agenda, right? And me and Sika was talking about this before you came on. And so in that, though, speaking about Black people, Black voters, women voters, Black women voters in particular, like, what are some things that are in there? I'm pretty sure that maybe you not have read the entire contract with Black America, but that pretty much runs parallel to things that are already in there that we don't have to renegotiate. If Biden wins, then we already know what we're dealing with, right? And so anyway, I just want to like kind of maybe touch on that a bit and maybe get your thoughts about what's going on with that whole situation.
Yeah, you know, here's the thing I will say. It is the culture, particularly Black culture, does have a significant influence. And I do challenge our entertainers to be even more responsible with their platform and look under the hood. Donald Trump said 4 years ago, what do you have to lose, the Black people? We have had so much to lose over these past few years. And it seems like he only wants to engage his celebrity rich friends, Black friends, versus actually really doing something for Black folks. And so I can't really speak to the contract with Black America, but I can speak to the Build Back Better, right? The Lift Every Voice plan. Like Joe Biden is committed to, let's first talk about criminal justice reform, right? He wants to issue a national standard on use of force with law enforcement and incarceration for drug use alone, which we know those charges disproportionately impact Black people. You know, he wants to invest over $100 billion in low interest loans for minority owned businesses. And I'll be honest, I'm a small business owner myself. And to know that Black people, and particularly Black women, I see you putting your hand, yes, we are the fastest growing demographic of entrepreneurs, right? He wants to... We are, absolutely. And so he wants to also create a $15,000 down payment tax credit for first-time homeowners. And now we know that we as Black folks are still dealing with the remnants of redlining and housing discrimination. And so he has presented a plan that would bring equity to the conversation, not just equality, right? Let's be clear about that, right? Let's talk about equity. So he's trying to make an equitable future for all of us. And I saw the comment about, what is he going to do to present opportunities better than the Obama administration? I don't think it's necessarily better than the Obama administration. I think it's building upon that progress. And that is exactly what an administration should be doing. You shouldn't be rolling back the clock on all of these things that an administration before you has done. You should, unless it's harmful, but you should be building on the progress that has been made. And that is what Joe Biden's plan will do for Black Americans.
And that's real, because I feel like a lot of times, like, there's this idea that, like, I think people don't understand, like, and you made a good point, right? You always want to, like, build on the last administration. There was from day one, the first thing that Trump said that he was going to do was what? Repeal the Affordable Care Act, right? And we just talked about this and what this means for, and look, and when America catches a cold, Black Americans catch the damn flu, right? And so we can't afford to lose our health care because as economically insecure as a lot of our communities are, we got to make sure there are certain safeguards in place, right? We need to know that, hey, look, if something happens to a loved one, that we can bring them to the hospital and know that things are getting paid. Or when they get there, because they're there for a week and they maxed out on the actual insurance policy, they're going to be kicked out. You know what I mean? Like these particular things that are actually really at play. And because of that, though, because of bills, medical bills, people then what? Lose their homes.
That's right. That's right. So you know your stuff. That's exactly right.
Yes,
so there is a compounded effect, right, on what happens with healthcare. That's why when R.I.P. John Lewis, when John Lewis said that healthcare is a civil rights issue, he said that because it is, right. He said it. Rep from South Carolina, goddamn, what's his name?
Clyburn.
Clyburn said it, man. All these long-term standing representatives that have been like leading in the House right now have said this. And because of that, though, people gotta understand, they're not saying this because it's some frivolous idea. They're saying that they've lived through many of crises where every time something happens, Black folks are left out in the cold. And so we gotta make sure that we are protecting Black folks at all costs, which brings me to my next point.
Well, can I say something real quick on the healthcare too? That I love about Biden and Harris and how they're approaching this. You talked about obviously we know the health, impact of being sick and going to the hospital and not having access to treatment. You talked about the economic issues there as well and the snowball effect. But they are also focused on the biases in our medical institutions. They have been talking about why there are biases that impact the outcomes of Black people. And they've been talking about this maternal mortality. They've been talking about this when it comes to COVID-19. And so I want someone who is also very conscious of the structures that are in place that are also impacting our ability to be healthy and live in healthy communities.
I say, so we clear though, back in 2019, Senator Harris actually introduced legislation, which was blockaded by GOP controlled Senate. She tried to get through the Senate a bill that speaks directly to mortality rates for Black women in this country and getting access to health care that contemplates literally generational issues that Black women typically deal with. And we're talking about even how Black people are characterized in the medical field by being able to deal with more pain, being able to like, oh, this is not a thing for you, being passed off from one person to the next person. Oh, maybe you can wait right now. I remember a woman, I think it was Minnesota, Wisconsin, that literally was told to wait. And as she waited, right, by the time they got to her, I think they sent her home, or some hours later, she passed away in the hospital. And this woman, and I'm pretty sure you know about the story I'm talking about, and it broke my heart, because I'm like, this woman was telling me what was wrong with her, but you're trying to tell me something different, and you pushed it to the side, and she ended up dying. And so being able to have access to not only healthcare generally, but healthcare that actually contemplates the generational issues, right, and that affect Black people and Black women in particular. And so I think it's very fortunate that we have somebody on this ticket like a Kamala Harris that already understands these issues. Never before was there any vice president or any president setting forth an agenda that speaks directly to mortality rates for Black women. This is the first, y'all. And so look, while we're trying to sift through and figure out what's this and what's that, understand that there ain't a goddamn thing about a Trump administration that's speaking directly to Black women. The only folks they speaking to is if you own stocks, you a big corporation, or any of those things like that, that's what they speaking to. Everybody else, y'all go ahead and kick the can.
And the thing about that is that's not an opinion. That's all fact. And that's one of the things that a lot of people like to, they like to say that when we are speaking the facts, that we're just trying to sway people, but it's not. We don't really have any time to be trying to figure out falsity to be spreading around. This is just the pure facts of the way that things are laid out for us. And if we know, you know better, you do better. So we have to move accordingly to make sure that we can operate for the future's sake and for the generations that are coming behind us.
That's right.
It's up to us.
That's right.
Now, look, you know, one thing you touched on, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Well, I was going to say too that you want to make sure too that you have someone in office who is listening to Black people, right? We have Black leadership councils in our states. We have weekly Black faith calls. We have senior advisors, right? Who the Biden and Harris themselves are listening to. Congressman Cedric Richmond from Louisiana is one of our campaign co-chairs, and you know, both Vice President Biden and Senator Harris are listening to not only their Black staff, but Black leaders, and not just, I don't want to say just, you know, grass tops leaders and heads of organizations. They also go and listen to the community and how people are impacted. And that is something that you want in this White House, that they are listening and actually care with compassion. The first time I ever met Vice President Joe Biden was on the campaign trail in 2008, and he was so genuine. So incredibly genuine when I met him with my mother and my godmother. And I will never forget that feeling. Not a lot of politicians give you that feeling of, I see you and I'm listening to you. And that's him, that's Senator Harris. But more importantly, seeing the council that is around them. I mean, in addition to the fact that his VP pick is a Black woman, the council that they are receiving on a regular basis are Black folks who at the end of the day have the Black community at the core of their interest.
And I can be real with you. We put out and we talk to folks, right? And I think that's a good question right here, Biden. What is your next steps, maybe? But I think that you know, we've been talking about the Biden campaign, brought a lot of you folks on to talk about you know, what's going on with the Biden agenda for Black America. And I'm not gonna lie to you, some of it ain't been well received. And I think that bleeds into what Tyson was talking about in that last question, is that if Biden wins, right, where's the assurance? I think Black America has been used as political pawns for far too long. And I think that that's not a understatement or overstatement. I think that's actually spot on about how our issues are being played out. I really think that you know, people just want to know and have confidence that this, for the first time in history, perhaps, right, that the Biden Harris ticket is the ticket or the key to unlocking some of these generational gaps that we have in this country that have really harmed our communities for far too long. And so the question is, what are these next steps in the campaign or in the administration as we look forward to the first 100 days beyond of a Biden Harris ticket?
Yeah, you know, I think that's a great question. And I think, well, the first next step is that we have 19 days to vote. And a lot of people need to go ahead and get the early vote on. I'm actually going to early vote absentee in person. I'm staying in Virginia right now, so I'm going to do that tomorrow morning. And I think, the election is going to happen. When Vice President Biden and Senator Harris win, it is on us, every single voter, to not stop. Voting is one key piece of your action. And I actually want to talk directly to your audience, right? You can see our 100-day plan. You can see our Build Back Better plan. You can see Lift Every Voice, everything that we are trying to do for Black communities. But we cannot do that without, one, them in office, them having the support of a Senate majority and a congressional majority, and also the people who have voted for them have to hold them accountable to these promises, right? I tell people all the time, when elected officials, people forget about the fact that elected officials are paid out of our taxes. And it is important for us, and it is our duty to ensure that we are going to fight as much as we can for the promises that have been made. And so I want folks to remember the promises that have been made, get them in office, and then work in lockstep to make sure that they come to fruition. Some of this is contingent on, again, like I said, the Senate and Congress. It's also contingent on the state leadership. Down ballot races are just as important. Do your research on these lower level judge positions that are also on the ballot, because we know what's happening with the Supreme Court, which is a whole nother conversation, but these are just as important. And so that is what I charge other people in the next steps, right? Is to understand that voting is just one piece of your civic duty. I tell people, you can march, you can protest, great, do it. Vote, and then continue to ring the alarm and hold people accountable and have the conversation with them. And that is what I want majority of Black folks to do.
That's right. I mean, honestly, like, hands down, again, I'm going to keep on saying it. I'm sure you will keep on saying it. I'm sure Sika will keep on saying it. This is the most important election of our lifetime. Honestly, y'all, like, when I think about everything, when I look at this Amy Barrett nomination, right? And I really can't, and as somebody, this is very personal for me. As somebody that worked on the Merrick Garland nomination, that tried to make sure that he was appointed to the Supreme Court in the same kind of lame duck fashion, but it's distinguished by the amount of days, right, we had before the election. That happened in January of 2016. Yep. 200 and some more days, February 2016, 205 plus days before election day. Here we are, 38 days out. RBG passes away, and now Republicans are Senate, the GOP controlled Senate is trying to ram through our throat, down our throats, and with the Trump nominee. And this woman here, this cannot be overstated, said in so many words, the N word is not hostile in work environments. Virtue merited voting is okay, which means, by, if you not understand what that is, merit-based and virtue-based voting is basically saying that if you don't know something about America, maybe you don't speak the Queen's English in a particular way, maybe there's somebody working that voter poll, and guess what? They can tell you that you cannot vote on that particular day.
That's right.
And I'm telling you right now, there's not been anything more hearkening back to Jim Crow South laws, right, than these particular stances that are being taken right now at the highest level of the court in our land. And this woman here, Amy Barrett, can literally affect generations of states and the way in which they actually move on in voting and in elections. And that's from city election, local elections, state elections, and of course on the federal election side as well. And so I'm telling y'all right now, we can go around and we can talk about whether or not Biden is your guy and whether or not he's better than Trump, or whether or not, whatever the case may be. But Alencia said it here first. And I'm for damn sure stamping this. It's going to be exceptionally better if Biden has tickets in the White House. And that's for damn sure. At least we're going to have foreign allies again. That's for sure.
Right. I mean, which is another thing to think about, right? Like, I love traveling internationally, and the fact that we have to now be conscious about this, right? When we travel, as well as our allies, what is happening with civil unrest in other areas of the world. One more thing that, you said about voting and the ability to vote. I challenge people, especially young folks, especially people who statistically might not be as impacted by the coronavirus as other people, like elderly people, people with pre-existing conditions, volunteer to be a poll worker. Please volunteer to be a poll worker. If we see anything right now, there are long lines now at early voting locations. We can only imagine what's going to happen as we continue to get closer to election day. So volunteer to be a poll worker, and then obviously go to iwillvote.com to get all of your vote ready information, because it is so, so, so important that not only do you have the right information, but that, you know, in case you go to, to go to vote and they're questioning you, or you're running into an issue, you are informed of what your rights are and your ability to vote. So those are the last two things I would share.
And I would say to piggyback right behind that, Black Men Build, man, is doing a really good thing with Black men. They're asking for right now 1,500 Black men across the nation to show up to the poll and be poll workers, y'all. And so this is very important. And that's Black Men Build, but Planned Parenthood, CPD Action, a lot of these organizations that are very, very progressive are doing the same exact thing. NAACP as well. And so shout out to everybody doing the Lord's work and volunteering on election day and before election day, because honestly, voter protection and suppression is real, and we need to make sure we protect every single vote at that on election day and before election day. And so I just want to say that before we Alencia gets out on here, and thank her so much for her time. But look, y'all, like, go vote,
please.
Go vote,
please. That's all we can say. Just please, like your life depends on it. Please, just go
because
vote.
It does. No, because it does. And we should have to wait for whether or not our lives to depend on it. We should understand that there's somebody next to us. We have neighbors, family members, community members, people that we never even seen that perhaps we can impact. And that's really what elections are about. It's not just about ourselves, but more about the communal aspect of what we do when we come together and really build a coalition that's progressive, that understands a value system that's really good for not only Black America, but all Americans in general. And so that's what I'll say about that. And anyway, but yeah, thank you so much for listening to coming through. We gonna, if you gotta go, you gotta go. We got the voting video by Dollar Black coming up next. You invited, she's invited anytime on. So again, you got Alencia Johnson from the Body Campaign, senior advisor, working every single day to get this man elected and get Harris in the White House as well. And so y'all stay tuned for that, and make sure you voting, y'all. God damn, vote.
BDE Music Group presents Mississippi Votes. 5 weeks. The future, and I see it clear. If you take a look around, you can see it on their leg. Up to us. Yeah, this may be the realest thing I ever wrote. The biggest effort of me trying to give my people hope. I've been talking, now I'm trying out a new approach. I'm just a vessel, credit go to Mississippi Votes. Let me show you where we count the most. If I can, let me show you what we got at stake. Pay attention, listen good, ain't no time to break. It's elections every single year here in our state. And with that I say time is of the essence. If we trying to see a change, then it's time for the lessons. Time out for just following trends and not knowing we influence the wind. Again and again we lack knowledge and importance of presence and expect that things just gon' change. Instead we gon' educate the youth on how to play the game. In 10 years it won't be the same. Cause we are the future and I see it clear. If you take a look around, you can see it's near. I know it's new to some, but look, it ain't no need to fear. It always come a time to learn, and that time is here. The future and it need me. Built for it, so we make it look easy. On the front line, more is a plus, and they say the state need to change. It's up to us. A campaign led by POC. College students and volunteers gonna get us free. Facing charges from groups you can't believe. Getting people in the circuit courts can intervene. Yeah. All because we knew who we were looking for. Did research before the time came to vote. We breaking records down here. Oh, you didn't know?
Yo, we back, man. We back, man. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, man. This is episode 9 of the Black Lunch Break, y'all. Look, we have Alencia Johnson on here. We're going to have many more folks come here and talk to y'all exactly about why it is so important to be voting this election day. We're going to keep talking about it until we blue in the face, because this is very, very important, not only to me, not only to Seeker, but for the entire Black with No Chaser family, to make sure that our folks get the right information, right? And again, y'all may not like every single candidate that's out there, but if you ain't, look, understand that candidates aren't really on the ballot. Issues are on the ballot. Healthcare is on the ballot. Criminal justice transformation is on the ballot. Access to credit lines is on the ballot, right? Reforming a financial system that's really been oppressive for upper mobility for Black small business owners on the ballot. And so you got to understand those, that it's not just about the candidates. It's not about the candidates. Look at the agendas, comb through them. And guess what, though? The point about making sure that somebody wasn't doing a job, we got to give somebody else a chance to do the job. For example, if I was interviewing two people right now, and one happened to be Biden and one happened to be Trump, and I had to pick one, right? Because if I had to pick one, come on, man, come on.
That's the thing. Like, as a society, we have to realize that we have to stop being selfish. We have to stop thinking selfishly, because majority of our reasons for not wanting to participate in the most important election of our life is selfish reasons. As she said when she was on the show, we have to think about who all is affected. And if you're only going to think in a one-dimensional mindset, then you're harming us. You're seriously harming us. I'm speaking from a person that has never believed in voting. So I can't sit up here and actually sit here and try to encourage people to vote if I really didn't believe in that. And I honestly do believe that our voices do count, our votes do count. And regardless of all of the roadblocks that we do have, we have to stop being selfish with our mind frame so that we can make sure that we can push each other. That's the only way we're gonna get out of this bitch successfully.
And I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna leave it right there for everybody. So now, man, thank y'all so much for tuning in, y'all. This is episode 9 of the Black Lunch Break with your boy Rillo in the building.
I'm Seeker. Thank
y'all,
you,
man. This is Black with No Chaser, where we think Black,
we live Black, unapologetically.
Unapologetically. You already know.
We out.
Until next time, y'all. We out.